So you not only need to find the two men that you can be fully safe with and celebrate your victories, but you need to be one of those men for other people too. That is where real fulfillment is in
Yeah.
actually that service to other people, I think.
Oh, Shaun. Yeah, you're giving me chills, Shaun. Couldn't be more true because you're describing the very essence of brotherhood
Yeah.
that we've got disconnected from.
Yes, that's what
I
brotherhood is. Welcome back to Raising Men. Now, we often talk about the legacy that we want to leave for our sons, the values, the skills, the manual, how-to of being a man. But there is a silent legacy many of us carry, which is the habit of emotional shutdown. We've been taught that we're supposed to be stoic and we're supposed to not be emotional. Data shows that 40% of young men turn to no one for guidance. And frankly, I think that understates the problem because even older men are loath to turn to people for guidance. Why is that? Well, there are several reasons, but many of us weren't taught how to show up when things get messy, and we don't feel comfortable doing it. Joining me today is Mike Elliott. Mike is a relational guide who has walked through the refining fire of two adoptions and a divorce to find a new way of leading at home. Today, we're talking about how to stop parenting from the shadows. Mike, thank you so much for being here and welcome to Raising Men.
Shaun, such an honor to be here.
Now, we often talk about the provider role in masculinity. And it's, I think a lot of people just think that the provider role or feel that the provider role is all about the paycheck. But I've heard you argue that our most important provision is the emotional safety that we create in our home.
Yeah.
The
I'd say this
metaphor
is,
that I liked, and I'd love to get your response to this metaphor. I've used this metaphor on the show before, but I like to use this metaphor about a castle. And our job as men in the family is to build and maintain that castle. And the way that we know, and I think a lot of people, especially the traditional masculine role, it's about how strong the walls are. How strong is the castle when the barbarians are coming? Can they actually get over the walls and through the walls? And that's part of it. But it's actually more important, especially in this modern age, that the castle encompasses as much area as possible. It's really the way to measure the success of the castle is about how much safety does it provide? How much of an area of safety for the village? Let me get your response to that, and then let's use that as an entree to talk about your work and what you do.
if we don't have emotional safety in our homes, the paycheck and how it is used is worthless.
Mm.
If there's walls, four walls that are built around a whole group of people and the relationships suck, like you're not going to want to be in those four walls. You're going to want to figure out how to get out and actually go face the tiger and the unpredictability of nature if the relationships are toxic, distant, disconnected. And I think all of us can feel that deep in our bones because my experience is every human I've related with has been impacted by North American culture
Mm.
where there's a lot of disconnection.
Yeah. I I have a friend who when he grew up, his father, they would go on a road trip and the car would break down or they'd have a flat tire or whatever. And he grew up just feeling like the world was chaos, that you couldn't ever do anything. You couldn't ever go anywhere because just the world was going to just defeat you. And he grew up to be a mechanical engineer because his his single most important desire in life was to get to control that chaos. And I think that's a microcosm for what you're talking about here.
Yeah. What I see with so many of the male clients that I support, because a lot of them have huge tangible material success.
Mm,
Some of them millions of dollars, multiple properties. They've got the status,
yeah.
but they've squeezed unconsciously the life out of their home and out of their marriage, and often have shown up really well for parenting and fathering to not repeat what they experienced growing up. But the relationship with the mother was really difficult. It was really hard. And usually when they show up in front of me and having the call, that's what they're there to learn. Oh my God, like, how do I actually lean into life? How do I lean into relationship and do that part well? Because having all this money is pointless if I don't have someone to share it with.
It's almost like it feels like it should be easier. It feels like if you make a lot of money and you're very successful in that kind of worldly way, it feels like I mean, you ought not fight about money, right? You have creature comforts. You can take vacations. You can take time to have those restorative periods in your relationship. But I'm not sure that beyond there's kind of a sweet spot where it is a little bit easier. You're outside of just, scrambling paycheck to paycheck. And then, but you're not like it seems like a lot of really successful people really struggle to make their home lives a safe space. Why is that? And what should people do about it?
With the majority of the clients that I've seen, what's happening is there's a false sense of security with the money because there's power with money. It's a tool, it's a weapon. How it's used determines the feeling of the person using it. So money is like a gun. We can use it to intimidate and push our power and dominate, or we can use it to bring food home for the village.
Mhm.
Go shoot an animal, feed the village.
Yeah.
What I'd say is a lot of men weren't taught how to use their power in a good way. They were taught dominance. They were taught that dad has lots, mom gets very little, kids get very little, and they're actually all a burden for what it is that dad's offering. And I'm generalizing based off of the clients I've worked with. That's a common experience.
Yeah.
And the thing about money that we need to understand is there's a relationship to all things. There's a relationship to our thoughts. There's a relationship to our feelings. There's a relationship to our environment. There's a relationship to clients we serve. There's a relationship to money, one we don't talk about enough.
Mhm.
The thing with money is it doesn't talk back. Money doesn't say how it feels in the relationship and how it's being used. This is where the false sense of power comes from, because it's a bit of and I don't mean this as a judgment, I'm just saying to really bring this piece as talking about just a real relationship. What is a relationship where the other person doesn't get to have a say in how the experience of the relationship is? We're talking about narcissism.
Hmm.
and and so what can unconsciously play out is if there's unresolved wounding deep inside, which is just disconnected parts of ourselves, just parts that didn't feel loved and seen and heard to integrate into I belong, I matter, then those disconnected parts of ourselves will start to drive the bus, and they'll pursue more money because they want to feel the power to overcompensate for the just human inadequacies and insecurities. Shit, I have so many. Are you like I have money, and I know that a driving force in my life has been I don't want to have to look at the parts of me that feel weak. I don't want to look at the parts of me that are embarrassed to share this about myself or that about my body or what I've done in past relationships. So I unconsciously want the power to not have to look or feel those things, but it's a false sense of power because what I've learned over the years, doesn't matter how much money I have, I can't avoid the part of what's truly, I'd say, a present day invitation. I can't avoid relating with life itself, and I can't avoid relating with my relationship to life itself. How am I treating others? how am I using the money? Why am I chasing money? Like, what is it for? Is it, I'd say the healthiest expression of money is it feels the best when we're in the energy of giving. So if we understand that money is a vehicle to express our divinity, which is our generosity as a human being, sharing and expressing the essence of our heart, which is where do we want to give? What is meaningful to us? If we aren't embodying that, the money is absolutely worthless, and it's actually deepening our insecurities because we think a certain number at some point will solve the part that is missing. And it's that satiation of being a generous human being, because that's what connection looks like.
Yeah, I want to drill into that a little bit. But there's something that you touched on a moment ago that I definitely want to uh speak more deeply about. And that is um the 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 initiation that we undergo or don't undergo. And I have a hypothesis that, well, it's not even a hypothesis, it's an observation that there used to be institutions in our culture that helped to provide that initiation of turning boys into men. And as our culture has modernized, those institutions have gone away. And that's a problem and it's an opportunity. And the problem is that the institutions aren't there, so the initiation doesn't happen by default. The opportunity is that we can now craft those initiations ourselves. Talk to me about how you think about the problem of initiation and, what's going on there. And then, of course, what do we do about that?
The first problem is most of us don't even know what the heck initiation is.
We don't miss it.
We don't even know what it is. So we don't even know who to have the conversation in
right.
most of humanity. As men, we're like, often when I say, I've created a program called The Initiated Man, and often the first question is, what is an initiated man? What does that even look like? First, we need, for anyone listening, I want to explain what initiation is in its simplest form. It's pressure and tension that squeezes a being from a boy from adolescence into manhood. Tension and pressure that squeezes a boy from adolescence into manhood.
Like a
So in
chrysalis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in ancient culture, I want to root there because I think there's something that men feel in their bodies when they hear this, because there's something in our genes that don't get forgotten. The switches just haven't been turned on. So I'm going to hopefully turn some switches on here. In healthy cultures back in the day, initiation looked like this. Little boys would be in proximity to men and refined through their early dependent phases. Men would slowly bridge them into life and entice them away from their mother. Little boys will naturally want to just stay merged with their mother, because why the hell wouldn't you? I think a lot of men can resonate. It's like, oh yeah, big, soft, beautiful breasts, their soft hair and the skin and the touching and the reassurance. And like, who wants to leave that? It
Right.
feels so
it's
good.
Like a nice, warm, fluffy bed.
Yeah. It's like, exactly. Why would you ever want to leave that?
Yeah.
So the role in healthy cultures back in the day is men knew that it was their job to entice them, not tear them apart, but entice them away from the mother to show them how exciting it is over here to be in life. And so they would slowly entice them into becoming more capable and strong to deal with life, which is, I want to go play with the swords, and I want to wrestle. And they would activate through pressure and tension their edges, where it would be a bit scary but exciting. And then once they hit their cap and their edge, they would run back to mom and get all the comfort and the consoling, and then it would integrate. It's one of the key ingredients. Is initiation always needs the coming home to allow it to integrate. Then it turns into more strength and resilience.
Yeah,
Has to be.
it's like sleep. It's restorative, and if you don't get that
Yes.
restorative, then or the rest after a workout, like you do a bunch of bench presses, and you better not do them the next day because you need your muscles to repair.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the same as the development of a man. We need our rest periods. We need the mother to be resourced and doing her thing so she can hold and comfort the little boy as he's evolving up to man. Okay. So if that happens really well, great. Then there becomes a point, and it's not age specific, where the men who've been training and mentoring these boys towards manhood, they get a sense and a feeling from their connection to themselves, and they would have a conversation with each other, and they would say, hey, I think little Johnny's ready. I think it's time for his initiation. Like he's got the tools, he's got the skills, he's like pushing his edges, he's ripe, like the testosterone's there. Let's set it up. What they would then do is they would attune to that being, that boy, for his readiness, not before he's ready, when he's ready. And then what they would do is they would set an environment and give him the guidance of like, hey, Johnny, you're going to go out now into the wild on your own without us. And you're going to go, and your task and your mission is bring home meat. And they would go off on their own, and it would be the first time where they're now tested in their capabilities they were mentored into. And they would go and they would face danger, the fears, the insecurities, the not being able to lean into the men who've always been there up to that point. And they would touch the most frightening parts of themselves, and some close to death. And they would persevere and finish the task of kill the animal, bring home the meat. And what the village would do is they would sit around the fire waiting for this moment. And the second the little boy would come down from the mountain with the meat, with the wounds, the scars, whatever's there, they would start singing, beating drums, and welcoming. God, it makes me emotional every time I speak to this part, because this is what culture's missed. And they would welcome him back. And then he would walk back, join the circle, and the entire rest of the evening would be space held for him to share what was experienced in the pressure and the tension of touching all those terrifying places of himself and life. And then him getting to feel his power after being so afraid, and the cortisol, the adrenaline, and being welcomed back is what creates the integration and refines that boy into man, and he will never be the same after that day. We haven't had that in culture. We've been stripped from that. We've forgotten it. And most of us grew up with very absent fathers, or fathers that were on the mission, but they didn't know how to do the welcoming back, or to set up a certain, experience that is relational to guide that boy into those places of himself so that he could welcome back and honor him that now he's a man. And yes, there's going to be forever work, but I'd say right now, the pain that we're dealing with, so many little boys haven't had this. And so now, and I'm speaking for myself here, I actually went to have my own initiation experience. And I've been a part of men's work for 10 years. And it's the thing that has changed my life by growing me up. And this is what I'd say men are hungry for, but they don't even know that they need it.
I can totally agree with that, because even just hearing you describe the process, I mean, you mentioned that it's like a switch in our DNA or something. I hunger for that experience as well, and I totally get that, because I'm one of those people. I never got to experience that. Or at least I didn't experience it in any kind of holistic way, right? I experienced it in dribs and drabs in other places, but there are definitely parts of me that still need that.
Yeah. And I'd say, and honoring you for naming that and touching that part of yourself, because we all need that. I've needed that. Like,
Yeah.
man, I got separated from my mother and then my biological grandmother at the age of 14 months. So 2 severances from my sense of safety. Mother energy, and the role of mother is to create the feeling of safety in our body.
Yeah.
Just like the story I described. The thing that creates the strength in the nervous system is that the boy was welcomed back into the village and held and seen and felt and emoted with. That's what integrated into the strength and the capacity. So many men, and if you're a man listening to this, I want to celebrate and honor you, because here you are listening to a podcast, wanting to learn and to grow. And there's so many men that I end up working with, they're not lacking wanting to show up. They're not lacking the trying really hard. They're not lacking the information. But the information isn't translating to the integration. It's not translating into walking into the home and having the actual tone and capacity to welcome their partner's upset, their forever changing emotions, without losing his footing, without trying to fix it, solve it, defend it, just dissociate from it, withdraw, try to run away. And that's just the sign initiation is needed.
Mm-hmm.
It only happens in the initiation, and initiation is returning back to the most true medicines of man, and that is brotherhood.
Yeah.
Initiation happens in proximity to other men that have been initiated.
Yeah.
This isn't a hierarchy. It's just honoring nature. If we don't get the information or the toolkit handed down from our fathers, well, then we need to take responsibility for our own lives as men, which is why I created the initiated man. I've set the culture where this can happen. You come into the environment and you let the environment initiate. It's not for more information. And I've been there, 13 years of mental masturbation, listening to all the podcasts, reading all the books, and I got weaker and weaker. And then that's what led to my divorce.
Wow.
I realized it wasn't in the paycheck. I realized it wasn't in knowing more. That didn't help me show up as a man to hold space for my partner. I unconsciously just disconnected from her day after day, week after week, month after month. And it wasn't until I realized, what I believed, what I adopted in my mind, which is when I have more money, I'll have more power. When I have more power, I'll be loved. I'll be good enough. She will give me her soft, gentle feminine that I'm longing for. Mm-hmm. It was a delusion. I had to turn deep within my own experience and face where I'm still a little boy in there. Learn how to then initiate that part up into becoming a man, but not from information, from experience from other men that knew how to guide me through it.
Yeah, it's almost like the information is counterproductive at a point, because it gives you an excuse to just stay there and read more stuff and listen to more podcasts. But that's not action. That's just you're probably getting smarter, but you're not actually doing the thing. And so you use the term mental masturbation. That's all it is if you don't turn it into action. And the initiation gives you a way to turn it into action. It gives you a way to learn it without. I mean, it's better. It's better than
and just to use this, I think we can all relate to as men. If we masturbate every day and we're ejaculating every day, guess what happens? We do get weaker because we're exhausting our life energy, our life force. I think every man can feel that. There's a place, I don't know, maybe I'm going too TMI here, but in my past, there was a place where I would self-soothe through masturbation and porn. That was a way I was coping with all the distress I didn't even know I had inside.
Yeah.
And what started to happen is that, I couldn't even get an erection. It was just exhausting my energy. I didn't realize that. So I needed more stimulation, more exotic porn to look at. And It was so defeating, but I didn't know because I wasn't initiated. Dad didn't model this, show me how to harness my power. And so I just kept exhausting it until I realized, in proximity to a man who brought me into understanding all these places, showing me how to reaccess my power. Well, it was only in that point where I started to really get it. I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't just about feeling good right now for some sort of, immediate gratification. I'm being invited to go deep within myself, to find my power and to bring it to life in a way that's contained, that's responsible. Because if I can do that, I will be received well in the power. This is what leadership is. And I want to really, for those of you listening, I want this to land, because a lot of men are wondering, what is leadership? Leadership, and the way that I like to describe it with clients, is true leadership that's embodied and connected to real life, is a man that is so clear in the direction that he's going, that the environment he creates around his very presence is nourishing to himself and to everyone around him. That's leadership. And when we embody that, which for anyone who's listening, embodiment means just showing up in the behaviors that match the thought, the actions that create this environment. That's embodiment. That the report card is the environment around me as well. That's embodiment. That's where the feedback is not just matching some idea or belief we have. The feedback is everyone's having a good time here. My wife is happy. My kids are enjoying me. Wow, they light up. They smile at me when I approach, and they want to jump up. My 4-year-old son wants to jump up in my arms. That shows me I'm in a level of embodiment in that moment. And when I'm not embodied, an example would be I'm sitting at my computer. I didn't take the breaks to move my body to connect to nature. And I show up after 6 hours of just being in front of a screen. And I walk in and I'm exhausted and I'm drained and I'm irritable. That would be a disembodiment. I've overexhausted. And I want to tie this into the mental piece. The mental masturbation is where we feed too much of the mental. To be a fully healthy human being and man, we need to make sure that we are nurturing our body, mind, and spirit in a way that keeps us well. If we go too much mind, we're actually leaving our body. This is what leads to reactivity. This is what leads to us wanting to self-soothe with substances and porn and doom scrolling. It's actually the real life feedback saying, I've fed too much mental and I'm out of balance. I am disconnected to my own nature. I'm not in my body. That's dangerous.
It's like a reverse initiation.
It's a reverse injury. Yes. And the phrase that I love to lean into here, that I've watched as evidence is true, is a man who is too heavily weighted in body, mind, or spirit, let's say mental here. That's an under-resourced man. What is under-resourced? Resource is there isn't enough energy going to all the different categories that keeps everything working in harmony. That's balance. So if we have an under-resourced man, we have a dangerous man. If we have an really under-resourced man, we have a dangerous man. And this is what's creating unsafety in homes, in culture, in society, because an under-resourced man is a disconnected man. And a disconnected man will do anything to try to get back to connection, but he will do it in dangerous ways because it's coming from fear.
Reduce connection. I think we're seeing a lot of that in our culture today.
Yep.
Yeah. What a power. And one of the things that I've heard you talk about that I think is really relevant to this is that the home absorbs kind of the emotional climate of the parents and maybe even of the father in particular, but definitely of the parents. And so we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to our sons, and we owe it to the rest of our family to bring an emotional climate that is healthy, because it's contagious in a sense. And whatever we're going to be bringing is contagious. And so if we bring that healthy energy and that healthy climate, then the family benefits from that. But if we bring a toxic climate, if we bring the self-absorbed one, if we bring the disconnected climate, then they're going to be injured by it.
100%. And I just want to speak to all the men that are listening, because one of the most common patterns that I see in men that I've sat with for over 10 years in circle is there's so much pressure and expectation to show up well and to provide and to protect. So I want to speak to all. It's not all your fault and it's not all your job to reconstruct that home and the environment of the home. We're just dealing with the impact of culture, and we're dealing with the impact of mom and dad not knowing how to do relationship. No one person is responsible here. And this is one of the things I'm really passionate about, because I see a lot of story and narrative where women are blaming men and men are blaming women.
Yeah.
That's child's play. We don't have
Blaming
time.
is child's play.
It's not helpful. It's two toddlers fighting in the playground of, it's my toy and I don't want her having. It's just a waste of energy. It's not
100%.
an adult way of relating.
Yeah.
So I'm calling that out. It's no one's fault. It's our fault as a culture, as adults. We are here to learn about relationship well, because if we just look at the report card of our culture and the war and all the things, we're such an intelligent species. Why the hell is there still war? That's insane.
Yeah.
We haven't learned how to relate well. We're not playing well in the sandbox. Shit, we're on a planet that's hurling through outer space, and we're all sharing it. It's the only planet that we even know of that has human life on it, which, guess what? That makes this. It makes it a damn home. And so we better learn how to be in the home well and to do relationship well. I'm biased. I'm a relationship expert. That's what I'm looking at. But if we don't learn how to relate well and take responsibility for the places we're not, we aren't going to get what we're actually looking for, which is peace and harmony and love and sense of belonging, and I'm enough. So mom and dad aren't even to blame. We're looking at a cultural thing, and we're looking at the impact of mom and dad not doing mothering and fathering well. We're looking at a role. Mother's role is to create the feeling and the safety of a child's, for the feeling of safety in their body and then in life. That's the role, simplest form, role of mother. Role of father is he brings protection and order to things. The only way he can offer it is home, and is where he has it in his own life, which means in real life, we got to look at our relationship to money. Are we managing our money well? Yeah. Is it forever growing and expanding? Do we have the resource to spill into the experience in the home where everyone can feel the feeling of we can? Yes, that experience, let's do it together. Oh, you want that? Well, let's figure out a way creatively where we can make that happen. Let's work together. Yeah. This is the order of a relationship to our body, which I watch a lot of men struggle with, and no shame here, but we're just looking at father wounding. If we weren't handed down protection and order from father, and we weren't handed down the feeling of safety in our body, guess what? We're kind of screwed with the toolkit that we have to hand down, and we will unconsciously hand it down. That's just what we do. 95%.
We're screwed unless we get intentional about making that stuff happen ourselves.
Which is why we're having this conversation, and which is why, as a humanity, we need to understand the nature of initiation, which is, as a whole, we're being squeezed. I think we can all feel this. Exponential growth in AI, jobs being lost. That's going to squeeze any human being, because it's going to hit the most primal parts of ourselves. So we're in it. We're in the initiation, but remember the ingredient that creates the integration of the initiation. It's being welcomed back into the community. So my invitation for anyone that's feeling oh my God, Mike, I just had a light bulb moment. I am screwed. I didn't get that from my dad. I didn't get that from mom. Great. Now as an adult, your responsibilities move towards the environment to fully welcome you into your experience so that you can integrate what's stuck in your body. And I'm going to leverage here Dan Siegel's work for anyone who needs to really speak to the mind here and leverage this, the brilliance of it. And Dan Siegel's work describes it in this way. Our level of health is determined based off of our capacity to integrate our already lived life. And then another layer deeper on this, a level of health is predictable based off of a person's parents' ability to describe their childhood and make sense of it.
Yeah. And I mean, what does that imply about how we can instill health in our sons? It means that we need to give them that. We need to give them the ability to integrate. We need to give them that welcoming back from the initiation. We need to give them that ability we need to give them childhood experiences that they can then go later describe.
That's right.
And the time is now. Like it's not like we can go back in time and make sure that when he was 7, he could do that. I need to do that now.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the ultimate ingredient here in parenting isn't to be perfect, because a lot of men might be listening to this and thinking to themselves, shit, I got to learn more about how to show up more.
Yeah.
More to do.
Yeah.
No. Don't go read another book. Don't go listen to another podcast to add more pressure to the system and to have to do more. It's actually understanding what's required for us to show up as parents well. And I'm thinking of my son right now. My forever focus is, am I, Mike, the father, present in my own experience? Because if I'm present with my own experience, guess what my son gets? Presence. Mm-hmm. It's the presence that it gives me the ability to attune to what he needs and meet him in his world, because I'm navigating and present in my own world that's very different. Yeah. He's 4. His world's so different. So in the days where I do this well, I'm tending my body, mind, and spirit as an example. I'm going to my men's work. I'm doing the work that I'm meant to be in service of, and that satiates me. I'm connecting with nature. I'm moving my body. I'm eating healthy. I'm managing my money. And then, okay, I can just fully be present. And some men might be thinking, well, I still don't fully get presence. Presence isn't doing more, and it's not performance-based. It's letting go and shedding all of the defense strategies, the fighting, the defending, the avoiding, that's preventing the presence. Presence is what's underneath all of the performance.
Yeah.
And so when we
struggle with this so mightily, my brain just wants, my reflex is to cast my mind out and into the future mostly. And I struggle with it so much.
Yeah, man. And me too. This is why I've devoted my whole life to it.
We all do. Yeah.
And I'd say some are stronger than others. And especially, people that came from healthy homes, they struggle there less. But I'm just going to honor my own human experience. I'm probably going to struggle with this one for the rest of my life, which is why I've built the Initiated Man, which is why I go to men's work every Wednesday, which is why I'm constantly going through my own internal initiations so that I can grow myself up and give my son what I didn't get enough of. Mm-hmm. That's not a one and done thing. It's choosing a new way of being. And true health is being super clear on who we're being in the doing, not just doing more. If we're not clear on who we're being in the doing, it's pointless. And so there's this place where I know for me, I want to meet my son and create this life where he reflects back of, wow, my dad was so there. My dad had a mission. He made money, but he made time for me. He came in every day. He worked on the land so that he was close. And wow, he really got to know me as a individual, and he brought me into the experiences that were different than his, and made sure that I want him to have that experience. But the only way I can do that is if I am integrating my already lived life, making sense of my childhood, so I'm not unconsciously projecting or perpetuating the same hurt. When I say perpetuate, it's just repeating the same damage that I had happen to me. Not because I'm a victim, it's just what happened. I have to go integrate that so that I don't live in the pain of that and just unconsciously then beat him up. emotionally or neglect him and think that one day when I make enough money, I will buy the resource where he can just have enough space from all my dysfunction and maybe he'll appreciate me for that and how hard I worked. He doesn't care how hard I work.
That's right.
He cares whether I'm with him or not.
Yep.
But it only happens if I'm with myself. And so for anyone listening, what to do with this is this is a question to ask. Do you have at least 2 men in your life where you feel so safe in yourself, you can expose all your deepest and darkest things, your struggles, your insecurities, the shame, the things you've done? Do you have a place where you can do that? And then in that same place, can you go share with that man all the things that you are celebrating, your power, your strength, where you do rock it, and he can meet you in it without putting you down or judging you and just like, yeah, and build you up even more. Yeah. If you don't have that, you need it. I'm just going to be blunt and real. And I wish somebody said this to me in my 20s when I was a drug dealer and a debt collector. I wish somebody just came to me and said, Mike, the men you're hanging around with, it's bringing you to a dark place because it's feeding the primal part of you. Right. The one that does just want to fucking conquer and kill. Yeah. Not helpful. You need to be around men that are in there. They've learned how to harness their power. They're not just soft and just passively watching life go by. They're learning how to integrate the gentle part of them, which is the tenderness of their human heart, and they're on mission and they know how to get shit done. Go find those men. Yep. I wish I heard that in my 20s. And on any man listening, I'm saying that to you now. It's never too late. Find the men that refine you into the best version of yourself, because wired in the depths of our DNA is men. The energy that feels good is the energy of becoming. That is the very nature of masculinity. Energy of becoming more aware, expanding in consciousness, but also building and growing. We all know that feels good, but if we aren't doing it in a way that's integrated, that's connected into the feminine part, which is being, then we create havoc in the world.
There's another thing that comes to mind there for me also, which is one component of that is finding the men who will help sharpen your saw, right? Is the way that I would put that. But when you do that, it's not like you have a sharpening stone and a saw. It's really more like you have 2 rocks rubbing against each other and they polish each other, because you're going to be that resource for that person too. And so you not only need to find the 2 men that you can be fully safe with and celebrate your victories, but you need to be one of those men for other people too. And
Bingo.
that is where real fulfillment is in actually that service to other people, I think.
Oh, Shaun. Yeah, you're giving me chills, Shaun. Couldn't be more true, because you're describing the very essence of brotherhood that we've got disconnected from.
Yes, that's what brotherhood is.
That's what brotherhood is. And what I like to describe it as is its relational reciprocity. You know, if we deepen a relationship as men, I want to make sure that you are strong enough to call me out and say, Mike, what you're doing, there's a pattern I see here. It's bullshit. It's not matching what you say you want to be or become. Why are you avoiding doing this next task? Why are you reacting with your partner? Like, dude, you're better than that. Let's get curious on what's happening there, because I'm not going to let you use your power in that way that's disconnecting you from your family, your home, your kids, your mission, who you're serving. We need men that can hold that part. You know, I'm thinking one of my best buddies, Dr. Kevin Preston. Love that man, you know, and we're that for each other. Yeah. We're the place where it's like, oh my God, I'm so afraid to be seen in the shadow part of me, the place where I want this part of me that wants to take, or this, you know, part of me that has these weird sexual desires or whatever it is, or, oh my God, I'm just actually feeling really afraid and I just need to cry a whole bunch, but I've never been allowed to do that. We're that for each other. We're the safe place of, dude, bro, I got you. I have so much, I've got myself. It doesn't matter how vulnerable, scared, insecure you are. I'm just here with you. I'm not going to try to fix you. I'm not going to try to solve this for you. I'm just going to hold you, bro. Like, I'm right here with you, just reassuring, like, it's so easy to be here with you and love you, man. And then also the part that's going to call us up and forward. Hey, man, you're here for a mission. Let's stay clear on that. Hey, let's make sure that's happening. What are you doing? What's your next step? It's that bringing the order to it. So there's the being part satiated, but also the becoming part satiated.
Yeah.
That's relational reciprocity. That's manhood. That's brotherhood.
Fantastic. Now, I always like to end these conversations with more or less the same question for everybody. So I'll put you on the spot just like I do everybody else, which is give me one principle that comes to mind when thinking about how to raise a man of excellence.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a second here.
Take as long as you need.
Yeah. And just for anyone listening, why I am pausing right now is there's a golden rule I live by: connection before communication, connecting to myself to feel what is true deep within me. And what comes up for me when I sit and listen is really seeing my experience as a little boy on the pathway to learning to become a man. And there was so much sensitivity. And every man that I've held up to this point in my 6-month containers and all the work that I do, something that I have witnessed is the tenderness of a man's heart. And what I think is the most important ingredient in today's time is men just accepting, allowing, and embracing the tenderness of their own heart so that they know how to hold the tenderness of their little boy's heart. And if we do that well, we're going to have powerful damn men in the world that are pioneering a way of being human that's creating more safety for the feminine part of life, the vulnerable part of life, where women get to become the mothers they've always wanted to be, that they haven't been able to because there hasn't been enough safety.
What a powerful statement. I'm going to need to sit with that. There is a lot there. And I just can't tell you, Mike, how much I appreciate you sharing your point of view here, your wisdom, and your passion for this subject. It has been an absolute delight chatting with you today, and I hope we can do more of it.
Yeah, man, such a gift, getting chills and deep appreciation for the work you're putting out into the world, to this conversation, to all the men listening, learning, growing, becoming. Just keep going, man. It's an honor to keep walking this path. And if there's anyone, I just want to spitfire, if there's anyone who resonates with this, there's a way you can follow and join, this pathway of becoming an initiated man. If you go on the school community, SKOOL, look for Initiated Man. It just launched this week. It's in its beginning stages, and we are going to be experiencing and building out the culture I've talked about today so that you can be initiated and become a man. And if it's not me, trust yourself and move towards where you feel resonance and safe, because that's the thing that will bring you home.
And the link for that is in the show notes. So definitely check it out. That's an unbelievable, powerful resource. Mike, thanks again. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you over there on the Initiated Man. I'm gonna go sign up right after we get done with this.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Shaun. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man. And to everybody listening, thank you so much for being part of this journey. Please like and subscribe, and if you got value out of this, definitely share it with a friend. That really, really helps us grow. And remember, you are a great parent. Raising Men is produced by Phil Hernandez. This episode was edited by Ralph Tolentino.